Have you ever felt like no matter how much you care about people, you're just never the person they choose? Like everyone else around you seems so incredibly easy to love, but somehow you're just different? Honestly, it's a super heavy feeling, but as we'll see in the research today, if you've ever felt this way, you are absolutely not alone in this. So it begs a really fundamental question. Why do some people feel so hard to love? We naturally tend to think this feeling is just a fact, right? Like it's a biological truth about our character. But psychology actually suggests something entirely different. There's no reality where you're just wired to be unlovable. This feeling is actually a learned story. It's a narrative you've picked up along the way. And today, we're going to unpack exactly how that happens. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the unlovable illusion, unpacking the myth of being inherently hard to love. So people don't just wake up one random Tuesday and decide they're hard to love. It's something that builds slowly over time through past experiences and emotional wounds. And it very often starts with a psychological concept known as conditional self-worth. Basically, this is the deeply held belief that your value and your right to be loved depends entirely on what you can provide, achieve, or do for others, rather than simply existing. Clinically speaking, this often originates from growing up with inconsistent love. Think about it. If affection was only given to you when you behaved a certain way or met someone else's expectations, you naturally learn that love is essentially a transaction. It's something you literally have to earn. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive contrast between these two mindsets. On the left side, we have inherent value, which is the healthy idea that I am valuable simply because I exist. But over on the right, we have earned value, the belief that I must provide value in order to be loved. People who get stuck in that earned value mindset, they often become the ultimate people pleasers. They're the ones who will absolutely agree to help a friend move apartments on their one single day off, just because they secretly feel like being useful is what makes them worthy of love. They become these constant caregivers, completely forgetting their own needs just to secure someone else's care. Moving right along to Section 2, the mental filter, how your brain actively searches for rejection. Okay, so once that earned value mindset takes root in adulthood, the source material points out a truly fascinating, if a bit frustrating, psychological pattern. It's called negative confirmation bias. This happens when your mind constantly searches for and actively prioritizes evidence that confirms a deeply held negative belief. So if your deepest fear is that people are eventually going to leave you, your brain literally goes on high alert looking for proof that they're packing their bags. When someone secretly believes they're unlovable, they naturally notice signs of rejection far, far more prominently than they'll ever notice signs of acceptance. And this bias plays out everywhere in our everyday social interactions. Take overanalyzing a late text message, for example. We've all been there, right? But for someone with this bias, a delayed reply definitely means they did something horribly wrong. Or assuming someone's slight quietness or distance means immediate rejection. It even leads to dismissing genuine compliments. When someone says something really kind, people with this bias might just brush it off, assuming the person is just being nice. Because deep down, getting positive feedback actually feels confusing. It completely conflicts with that core internal belief that they are fundamentally hard to love. Which leads us to a pretty tragic irony. You desperately crave connection, but you push people away. Why? Because individuals locked in this mindset are just incredibly sensitive to rejection. Even something as small as a canceled coffee date touches a major unhealed wound. Intimacy absolutely requires vulnerability. And for someone who is terrified of rejection, vulnerability feels like a massive, dangerous risk. So what do? They build a wall. The logic is, if nobody gets close, nobody can hurt me. But unfortunately, that self-defense mechanism completely prevents the exact intimacy they so deeply desire. This brings us to Section 3, rewriting your story, moving from self-criticism to objective self-reflection. Now, psychologists emphasize a really uplifting truth here. Feeling hard to love and actually being hard to love are two completely different things. You can carry years of self-doubt and still be a deeply valued person. So, how do we fix this? How do we move from relentless self-criticism to objective self-reflection? The research gives us some super concrete, actionable steps. Step 1, question the origin. We have to stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking, wait, where did this belief even come from? Step 2, separate past stories from present facts. You have to recognize that the feeling of being unlovable is just an outdated story created by past experiences. It is not a present fact. And finally, step 3, view yourself through a kinder lens. It's time to literally stop measuring your self-worth by how much you can produce, achieve, or provide for everyone else. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful thought directly from the source material. Being loved is not something you earn by becoming flawless. Let that sink in. Your value was never dependent on perfection in the first place. You literally don't have to earn your right to exist. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And as you go about your day today, I'm going to leave you with this one question to chew on. What would happen to your life right now if you finally stopped trying to earn your place in the world and just allowed yourself to be loved?